Well, your website deals with a lot of issues outside of economics. For example, the disturbing trend towards a more authoritarian form of government in the U.S. Do you think that as this crisis continues that we could see a bigger trend towards, let's say, a police state?
Oh, sure. I mean, we only have to see. Well, I mean, people like us have expected this and fought against it all our lives, this sort of increasing police state. But I must say, even I am shocked at the speed with which it's happened since, what do we call it, Federal Failure Day, or War and Power Day, Military Junta Day, or whatever, on the original 9/11. In these 10 years, it's really been extraordinary. And there's never been, of course, a security state like the U.S. Spying on us. And yes, of course, they want to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. I think I see signs of some opposition to this, but not much. And yeah, they're going to. I mean, I think every government would like to be a totalitarian government if it can get away with it. And the only thing that prevents that from happening is popular resistance. And when we see popular resistance recede, as happened after what the government is, of course, very happy about what happened on 9/11, they've certainly profited from it. And when that happened, popular resistance to the national security state and the warfare state receded, and of course the thing expanded vastly. So everything depends on people's consent. Do people consent? Are the American people, and people in other countries for that matter, are they going to consent to these increasing steps towards totalitarianism? America is no longer a free country by the standards of, say, 100 years ago. Economically, politically, civil liberties, we're not free, although people still go around sticking up the foam finger and claiming we're number one in income and freedom and so forth. Of course, it's just not true. And it's getting worse. I don't know, we're all trying to alert people, we're all trying to talk about what you can do to protect yourselves, as well as the sorts of steps that you should take to oppose what the government is doing, to alert other people, to first of all educate yourself, learn about economics, learn about history, learn about investing. So all those things are important, but it's easy to be pessimistic, I must say, about the police state. Cameras on every corner, our emails being read, our mail being read, our backyards being spied upon by helicopters. I mean, it's just, I keep thinking, let's say we had I think it would have to be a Republican president, let's say somebody like Perry, who would get up and give a speech and say, I've discovered that there are Muslim terrorists at work in all over our country and Muslim communities, and they're planning terrorist attacks, dirty bombs, biological warfare, all the sorts of things the U.S. government does and produces at Fort Detrick. So these Muslims are planning this. We're going to have to round them all up and put them in FEMA camps until we discover who are the guilty and who's the innocent. And I often think, how many Americans would oppose such a thing? In other words, a full-blown fascist or national socialist state. It wasn't until 9/11 and the aftermath that although I'd intellectually understood about how the Nazis came to power, I hadn't sort of felt it in an emotional way until I saw what happened in this country, and just how willing people, anyway, a lot of people seem to be to give the fascist salute to Bush and the rest of the people in Washington. So I haven't given up hope. I think there's always hope. And again, we don't, if we read Mises's Bureaucracy, we understand the problems with the bureaucracy. There's never been a bureaucracy as big as the U.S. government ever. And it becomes less and less competent, more and more complicated, more and more tied in knots. There is hope, but I'll agree with you that it's shrinking hope.
I've got a friend I remember discussing the Patriot Act with, and some of the domestic surveillance rules that had gotten passed. And I remember his comment to me, he says, well, what are you worried about? If you're not guilty, why should you worry about it? And of course, the problem is that, once the apparatus is in place, then it's very hard to, it's there and available, and you never know when it's going to be used. And I know Neil Howe, Doug and I have spent a fair amount of time with Neil Howe, and his comment, he said to me over dinner one night, he says, he goes, what people really aren't thinking through is what happens when the next 9/11 happens. And let's say it's something really significant, like a backpack nuclear or something going off in any city of the world. At that point, this apparatus has been put into place. gets put into place, and it leaps into action, and the whole world at that point pretty much changes. So these are things to watch out for, and your website certainly does a great job of alerting people to some of the things that are going on, and but I think educating the masses as to the importance of pushing back against this sort of trend towards totalitarianism seems to be the right thing to do.